Hello everyone, the most consistent GTA 5 online YouTuber here, and today I'm going to be discussing my suggested changes to every business in GTA 5 online. Now, some of these businesses in my mind are perfectly fine, and for those businesses I will just be discussing quality of life features more than the actual business itself, because it doesn't need anything else. But some of these, and we'll get into those, are very far off, and we'll also discuss those. So today, let's get into it. Hopefully you enjoy, and if you do, please like and subscribe. It really helps me out a lot with the algorithm. I don't really know too much about it, but I know it likes and subscribers, so let's get into it. Starting off with finance and felony. Overall, a pretty good update even to this day. As of recording this video and as publishing it this week, it is double money. That ends this coming Thursday, of course. But yeah, finance and felony is a pretty great DLC. It's good for friends, it's good for solos, but I would add some changes. So here we go. First, make solo large crate missions guaranteed to be a vehicle and not 3 separate crates. This is incredibly annoying as a solo player. Some of these you have to go to a drop zone and then find out where the crates are from there, and then kind of leapfrog them, go to your warehouse, go back to the drop site, back to your warehouse, back to the drop site 6 times, and it's just a pain. It's actually more worth it to blow up those crates and just get a new mission altogether and take the loss, because it's just a hassle. And also make special item spawns slightly more common. I'm not saying they have to spawn incredibly often, but special item spawns right now are very, very rare, few and far between for sure. I was grinding crates last week before it went double money, unfortunately, and I rarely got special items. I think I got 2, and it's the lowest quality special item you could get. I think it's the film reel or something, and I had my the people at my warehouse get those. I didn't even get the notification from my associate, my office associate, that is. And it's just very annoying. It's just not too common, and I wish that it would be more common. Otherwise, Finance and Felony is a great DLC, still worth it today. Some people say it's boring, but I don't know, pays out pretty good, and these delivery missions aren't too hard as well. Overall, a very fair DLC, just needs a few small tweaks. Next up, we have the Biker DLC. Now, the Biker DLC is also pretty good, but it still could use some changes. Firstly, rework cell missions to be more fair towards solo players. Depending on the spawns of the actual cell missions where you go deliver the packages, whatnot, for like post-op or the trash bag deliveries for the trash master, it can borderline be impossible to complete solo on your own. And I understand that's part of the risk, but the way Rockstar is moving towards, I can tell that they're moving towards a more solo friendly game. At least now, after all these years, when GTA 6 is about to come out, they finally do this. But it's not even like it's easier to do with more players, and that's why I'm talking about this. It is borderline impossible to complete these missions solo, and that's just not fair. You can hire people in free mode, and sometimes they will join you, but by no means are they the best quality players. Most of the time, it's low-level players who don't really know what to do, so they just help you out. And most of the time that is fine, but some dude in a Raiju or on an Oppressor Mark II can ruin your day, blow up your goods, and then that's it. So that's all Bikers really needs. Just rework these cell missions. The payouts are pretty fair. Counterfeit cash, weed, and document forgery are pretty bad, but with bonuses, they're just fine. Overall, another pretty good and fair DLC for both Rockstar and the player. Not too hard, but not too easy. A very balanced DLC, just needs a small few tweaks. Next up, we have Import Export. Now, Import Export is probably my favorite DLC just because the car aspect of it, you steal cars. It's a very simple DLC. All you do is you steal cars, you sell them, and that is it. And you also build up collections, but the payouts definitely need to be boosted. The payouts are just not very good, and to compensate for this, they can increase the amount of time also, maybe by 1.5 times it takes to resell another car, just so this isn't too easy of a DLC for a solo player to do. But the payouts right now are just kind of meh. Even with bonuses, I think you get 150,000 with bonuses and everything. You're into the car 20,000, that lands you 130,000 for a high-end vehicle, which really is the only one you should be sourcing. Unless you're trying to go for a collection or something, which I'll talk about here. So with boosted payouts, it should definitely be a much better solo business. And also a huge quality of life feature for solo players is the ability to sell 4 vehicles at once. Now, the only way you could probably do this is in an invite only, or else random players are gonna just go to your vehicle warehouse and blow up the cars there, but that's a risk you have to take. And it's not like this is unfair on Rockstar, because you still have to source all 4 vehicles. I'm not saying they just come out of nowhere, but just give us the option to sell all 4 at once, and then give us the associated time penalty for selling 4 at once, because it scales with each car you sell. If you sell 2, the time increases, 3, the time increases, and so on. And that would make it also, once again, a lot more fair towards solo players. Other than that, the DLC is pretty good. The collections can be a bit of a pain. There is a method to kind of trade collections with players, but then you have to find people with collections, and that's kind of a pain. So collections could be a bit more frequent. The cars in those collections could be a bit more common. But aside from that, once again, a pretty decent DLC in terms of fairness and balance for both Rockstar and the player. Next up, we have gun running. Probably the most balanced DLC in this list. I would only make a couple of tweaks to these cell missions to be more solo friendly. Once again, these cell missions can be, once again, borderline impossible. Some of them are impossible to complete as a solo player. There is a cell mission with insurgents where you have to leapfrog them, kind of. You take an insurgent to a drop off, then you go get another one, and then you do that 3 times for each drop off, and there are 5, I believe. And that's just very annoying. You will probably get blown up in the process, and you're solo. You can't really defend your goods anyway. So if that could get reworked and to be more friendly towards solo players, that would be great. Other than that, a very great DLC in terms of balance. Probably, once again, the best DLC in terms of overall balance in GTA 5 Online. Next up, we have Smugglers Run. And I could make an entire video about Smugglers Run, but I truly do not know what will make Smugglers Run balanced. Because if you add the ability to source 4 crates solo, it will be too overpowered. It also has no incentive for players to help you, as they don't make any money themselves. If they do, it's very minimal, like 5,000 each. So when you help someone source crates, there's no incentive. You may as well source your own crates and do the business yourself. Overall, just a very complex business. The numbers right now, I think it's the most balanced it could be. But it's just not a very great business. I will say, however, the cell missions are very good, very fair. They usually spawn in one vehicle, but that vehicle is very vulnerable. But it does give you at least some control. You're not spawned in 3 different vehicles and you have to defend each one somehow as one person. It's not like that. The cell missions are very balanced. But that's really the only positive. Smugglers Run, in my opinion, is just a very hard DLC to balance. For solo players and for multiple players doing it at once, it's just pretty difficult. Let me know in the comments how you would rework it or add some sort of balance to it. I really just don't know. For After Hours, the Nightclub, it is fine as it is. However, popularity missions are tedious and popularity itself drops a bit too quick. The only incentive for you to keep popularity at a high level is the vault earnings. You will get 50,000 every 48 minutes, which is good, but you have to do the mission probably every 48 minutes, and I just don't know if that's worth it. There are missions you could do, like auto shop contracts, and over time, if you do one setup instead of one popularity mission, you will make more money. So I don't know. It's just, that's really the only part of After Hours or the Nightclub that's kind of meh. The actual, AFK aspect of it, procuring goods, is perfectly fine and balanced in and of itself. Next up, we have the agency. The agency is fine, and the Dr. Dre contract is a decent solo money-making method for solos, but it's not too great on its own. Where it does shine is when you combine it with other AFK businesses like bikers and gun running and the Nightclub. It is pretty great when you combine all those things. You do make a lot of money with it, but if you're just starting out, the agency is fine, but you should probably branch out to other businesses as well. Don't just do the agency and the Dr. Dre contract, because that's just not the most efficient method. Other than that, once again, a very fine DLC, perfectly balanced for Rockstar and the player. It takes a good amount of time, I think an hour roughly, but once you get really used to it, you can get that down even less. And it becomes a very profitable business actually when you combine it with others, like I said. The Acid Lab is fine. Resupply missions could be quicker, but it does have very fair cell missions for solos. None are impossible to do as a solo, which is fantastic. The only other thing I can really think of is that's really it. The resupply missions could be a little bit quicker. Some of them take so long, it's ridiculous. You may as well do a headhunter or prep missions or something else. Over time, it really is not worth it. You're much better off buying supplies for the Acid Lab. But other than that, as a passive money-making business, it's perfectly fine. I use it. Next up, we have the Chop Shop. First off, payouts need to be boosted for stolen cars, as missions take a while to complete, about an hour average for the entire mission series to steal a car. And if it's the highest one that week, you're probably looking at around 400,000 with no bonuses at all, which is kind of strange. Rockstar should add bonuses for populated lobbies. Because if the car gets blown up, then you lose it. And it's not like this will be unfair on Rockstar either, because you only get 3 vehicles a week. You have to wait an entire week to get more cars, and That's just not very fair with the current payouts right now. These do take a while, like I just said. You're much better off doing casino prep missions if you're looking towards strict money. But if you're looking to have fun, the missions are pretty fun. There are 5 unique ones, and each one is pretty unique and pretty fun. Tow truck missions are also pretty fair. You get around 40,000 when each vehicle is salvaged, and you can steal 2 at once, and then that also boosts your safe earnings. So once again, the tow truck aspect of the business is very fair, and overall the business is pretty good, but payouts just need to be boosted for stolen cars because they're just pretty infrequent. And that is everyone. I tried to discuss, balance in terms of Rockstar balance and the players balance. It's not OP, so players can't abuse it, but it's not terrible, so players aren't wasting their time playing the DLC either. It's fair for both Rockstar and the player. And thank you all for watching. Once again, if you did enjoy this video, please like and subscribe. It really helps me out a ton. And thank you to my channel members, and have a great day or night or evening, and I'll see you later. Goodbye.